CEO panics without a translator in the meeting. Until the secretary walks in and shocks everyone. The room was silent, uncomfortably so. Tension clung to the air like humidity before a storm. The CEO of Hawthorne Tech, Richard Hall, stood at the front of the sleek conference room, eyes darting nervously between his elite board members and the foreign delegation seated across from them. The Chinese executives had arrived that morning, ready to finalize a partnership worth over $100 million, an expansion that could double Hawthorne's global footprint. But something had gone terribly wrong. The translator, booked weeks in advance and confirmed just yesterday, was nowhere to be found. A last-minute emergency had grounded her flight, and no suitable replacement could be secured in time. Panic rippled through Richard's chest as beads of sweat dotted his forehead. He had rehearsed this pitch a dozen times, but not once had he imagined doing it in Mandarin. "I thought we confirmed the translator again this morning," he muttered through clenched teeth to his assistant. "We did, sir," the assistant replied, equally anxious. "She had a medical emergency. We've tried every agency in the city, no one's available." Across the table, the visiting CEO glanced at his watch. His team looked puzzled but polite. Their expressions were courteous, but everyone knew time was running out, and trust was beginning to erode. Richard's voice cracked slightly as he tried to welcome the guests with a generic, halting "Ni hao," which only made the situation more uncomfortable. That's when the door at the back of the room clicked open. Everyone turned. A soft voice followed. "Excuse me, Mr. Hall." It was Mia Thompson, the secretary. Quiet. Timely. Efficient. She had been with the company for 4 years but never stood out. A warm smile always on her face, always in the background. Booking flights, arranging meetings, bringing coffee, and rarely, if ever, speaking more than a few sentences at a time. But now, she stepped forward with a calm confidence that no one had ever seen before. "I speak Mandarin," she said simply, her eyes meeting Richard's. The room blinked in disbelief. "You speak Mandarin?" Richard echoed, almost incredulously. Mia gave a slight nod. "Fluently. I lived in Beijing for 8 years. I studied at Tsinghua University before returning to the U.S." Before Richard could process this, Mia turned to the foreign delegates and began speaking, in perfect, elegant Mandarin. The reaction was instant. Their eyes lit up. Postures straightened. Smiles spread across their faces. The room, which had been teetering on the edge of failure, suddenly filled with life. For the next hour, Mia stood between both groups, translating not just words, but intention, culture, emotion. Her tone shifted gracefully between business formality and human warmth, capturing the essence of both sides. What began as a catastrophe unfolded into one of the most productive and sincere meetings the company had ever hosted. When the final handshake was exchanged and the contract signed, the visiting CEO turned to Richard and said through Mia, "Your team is impressive. But she is the gem." The room erupted in polite applause. Richard looked at Mia as if seeing her for the first time. "Why didn't you ever mention this before?" Mia shrugged, a humble smile on her face. "No one ever asked." The boardroom emptied slowly, but the story of the quiet secretary who saved $1 million deal spread like wildfire throughout the company. Everyone wanted to know more about Mia. What they discovered was humbling. Mia had been hired as a secretary not because she lacked credentials, but because she had chosen to. After returning to the U.S. to care for her ailing mother, she needed a job with flexibility. Though she had degrees in international relations and linguistics, she took a supporting role simply to make ends meet while putting her family first. No one had bothered to ask her about her background. No one had imagined the depth beneath her calm demeanor. But that day, everyone saw her. In the weeks that followed, Mia was offered a new role, Senior International Liaison. She accepted it with grace, but not before gently requesting that her old position be filled by another overlooked talent, someone from the temp staff who had been working late nights just to get noticed. Richard was stunned again by her thoughtfulness. "Why?" he asked. She smiled. "Because I know what it feels like to be invisible." Word of Mia's story traveled beyond Hawthorne Tech. A local newspaper ran a piece about the secretary who spoke and saved the day. Soon after, a national business magazine featured her story under the headline, "Sometimes the most valuable voice is the quietest in the room." Emails flooded in. Young women studying language. Immigrants working entry-level jobs. Caregivers putting careers on hold. All inspired by her story. But to Mia, the attention wasn't the reward. The real reward came one rainy Friday evening when she received a simple voice message from her mother, who had just finished reading the article. Through tears, her mother whispered, "You've always made me proud, but today, the whole world sees why." That night, Mia stood by her small kitchen window, watching the rain. She thought about all the days she'd doubted herself. The moments she felt invisible. The quiet strength it took to keep going. And the unbelievable beauty of one unexpected moment that changed everything. The next Monday, Richard called an all-hands meeting. "Let Mia's story remind us," he said, "that titles don't define talent. That kindness isn't weakness. And that sometimes, the ones we overlook are the ones carrying the whole team." The applause was thunderous, but it wasn't the kind of applause for success. It was the kind born from respect, and from the quiet awakening of 100 hearts. From that day forward, Hawthorne Tech wasn't just a company chasing profits. It became a place where people were seen. Where every resume was read thoroughly. Where cafeteria workers were invited to share ideas. Where kindness, humility, and hidden brilliance became the company's new competitive edge. And at the heart of it all was Mia Thompson. She never craved recognition. Never sought applause. She just wanted to help, to be useful, to make the world a little better wherever she stood. And in doing so, she reminded everyone of a simple, profound truth. Sometimes the quietest voice is the one the world needs most.